KitchenAid. Now this is the prescribed grinder, a burr grinder. Steve Gibson says on number 3.
And has it been emptied of its prior?
It has been emptied of its prior contents to the degree we were able to. Let's plug it in and I will grind what's left. Oh, there should be another part, Chad. We're going to do a little coffee making. It's clearly time. Yes, we need the kettle, the Breville kettle, to get it exactly the correct temperature. Now, we also need a power strip.
Water in there already.
As probably all of you know, his drug of choice is caffeine. Large quantities.
When it's not Cabernet, and you can't do that during the day, of course, as we found out yesterday.
Holy.
So the.
All right, now we can plug in.
The point of my approach to coffee, which is different than others.
Of course, because why would you do it like everybody else?
Well,
you do it scientifically.
Well, okay, so the goal is not to make a single cup.
Yeah.
Because that's just, if you're going to drink 10 during the day.
Well, in fact, we talked because I said, don't you like the AeroPress? This is what we all agree is the perfect way to extract coffee, but there is a problem.
Well, yeah, it's that it makes one cup
at a time.
And now, but you also can't make, for example, 20 at a time because you can't drink it that fast, and coffee does oxidize. And so
this is an important point that I did not know until Steve explained. But when coffee is exposed to the air, the brewed coffee is exposed to the air, it immediately starts turning.
Right, and you see that vividly in espresso. Because for example, if you pull an espresso shot, it comes out sort of chocolate brown, and just like sitting there looking at it over the course of 30 seconds, it immediately starts turning black. So, for example, when I've got my...
That's because it's oxidizing. It's actually combining with oxygen.
It's that fast. And so when I do my 6-shot latte here, what I make Starbucks do is I make them steam the milk first and then put the shots directly into the milk.
The milk,
because that protects them.
Seals it off from the oxygen.
Exactly. And then you end up with like a really nice tasting latte. But no, they never want to do it that way.
Now I'm going to make a loud noise here because what I'm going to do is I'm going to get what remains of the prior beans. This is Godfather's Roar. This is a local coffee roaster, the Petaluma Coffee Company. And they do an espresso bean, the Godfather's Roar, that is over roasted. It's extra dark. Are we getting it all?
There's a bunch of beans still in there.
Let me just put my hand. No, I'll tell you what. We could probably unscrew this, and I think this unscrews.
Yeah, it does. Because I have exactly. I mean, this is the grinder I use at home.
That's why we're doing it.
That's my grinder.
This is a good KitchenAid burr grinder. It's not actually. What I use, Mr. Coffee Geek told me to get a Baratza, which I did, and it's much, much more expensive.
Well, and see, the reason I use this is that I never use the reservoir. I'll take the beans out of a vacuum storage and put exactly the number of beans I want to brew. See how they're all stuck around there? I mean, they're wonderfully greasy, which is...
Look at that. Look at that oil.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that oil.
A ton of oil.
That's the Godfather's Roar. Right there. That's an oily...
Oh, that's
brilliant. Well, let's see if it may be brilliant or may not.
I think maybe we need a minion to...
A minion!
Burke?
Old Buck! No, I think it's coming out. And it's appropriate that we should have a trained barista sitting here. So, Dan, I hope you will weigh in on the what is about to happen here. But Dan has already confirmed the issue of coffee oxidation.
Yes.
Now, you spoke, Steve, about the fact that this is far from optimal.
Well, no. It's optimal for my goal.
Okay.
Which is...
even though we don't have the proper stuff...
Well, and, for example, I don't need Sherpas coming down from Ethiopia...
Wait a minute. This is the bean you're going to give me as a Starbucks espresso?
Yes, and that's my point, is that this is part of what makes this practical. Well, I think if we can pull this off correctly, I mean, if I can recreate the formula I have at home, it'll be the best tasting cup of coffee you've had.
We need mugs.
Well, so this is...
Now, plug that in, because it's not plugged in yet. In
okay,
fact,
so part of the problem is we need the right amount of water. I brought...
What, we have can we have some graduated cylinders? Karsten, bring the graduates.
I brought the exact...
well, you have a cup measure.
I brought the... Well, no, this is exactly the same size I use at home.
That's the ground measure.
My goal has been to reproduce what I do every morning here, so that you can taste exactly the same thing that I taste.
So, Dan, as you know, as a listener to Security Now, everybody at home knows, Steve is a bit of a caffeine fanatic. He patented the Quinty Venti latte.
No, 6.
Well, I'm giving the history.
Okay.
But that turned out not to be sufficient because apparently he's developing a tolerance. He is now the inventor of the Sexty Venti latte, which is 6 shots in a venti. Dan, has anybody ever asked you, when you were working at Starbucks, did anybody ever ask you for a 6-shot venti latte?
Maybe just Steve. That's a lot of guts.
That's crazy talk. Now, I got to point out, though, am I wrong? And you tell me, Dan, brewed coffee has more caffeine than an espresso, a Starbucks espresso.
Yes, actually, the darker you roast the bean, the lower the caffeine content.
And the espresso brewing method also does not extract the maximum amount of caffeine from a bean. I think a drip will do a better job.
The super fine grind allows the water to reach the more of the oils in the bean. Now, see, what I do is I take the dark roasted espresso bean, but I grind it for drip.
It's my impression
so it's a drip grind.
And I don't want to besmirch your former employer, Dan, but that Starbucks overgrinds its coffee in order to get more bang for the buck.
People also talk about how awful Starbucks coffee is.
I like it, but many connoisseurs say it's just not good.
Right, and so I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Oh, well, I'm going to use my
thing about ABC News.
Terrible. Oh, this has gotten kind of cold.
We've got that. Yeah. Now, by the way, this is a Breville electric kettle that does allow us to set the temperature. So you've decided, you've elected, in a kind of a shocking display here, to go with 212 degrees, the actual full boiling. I have been told many times that, in fact, it is not the ideal temperature for brewing coffee, that you don't want to go that hot, but you say boil the water.
Well, I should have sent up one of my proper drip brewers. I thought you had it. So that was the problem, because I knew you had the grinder.
The Zoji Rushi. I do not have the Zoji Rushi.
Because that's 5 cups, and so that's the perfect compromise, because it's not 1 cup, which is too few, and it's not 10 cups, which is too many. Because the problem is, if you make 10 cups and you just drink even at a high rate of consumption, the coffee will oxidize.
Here's a little trivia from Web 5258. Starbucks used to have a 5-shot venti coffee drink called the Mocha Valencia.
So the other problem is using the right amount of water through the perfectly ground and formulated and measured beans in order to produce the correct result.
Right.
So those are what I know.
These are the 3 factors you control: are the grind, the amount of water, the temperature of the water.
Yes. What I know is, because I use this every day.
And if you're doing an espresso, the pressure that you're applying.
Yes. And in fact, that's one of the things that Starbucks is supposed to do, is to calibrate the length of time that it takes to extract a single shot of espresso.
Now, we have a Clover, Starbucks with a Clover here.
Oh, I thought you meant here in the building.
No, we don't have a Clover in the building. But that presumably that is a little bit more of a gourmet brew.
Yeah. But again, 1 cup at a time.
Right.
And so
it takes a damn long time to make that 1 cup.
Yes, it does. And it produces a mess at the same time too. So here in my little alchemy corner, the goal is to produce a fabulous cup of coffee with some trade-offs. I mean, yes, I'm just using the espresso beans from Starbucks, but they end up tasting fabulous if they're brewed correctly. So
that's good to know. I mean, I don't think that Starbucks beans are particularly bad.
Well, I'm
I
hoping
think they
to
just
convince
overgrind
you.
them.
I'm hoping to convince you, with your taste buds.
Yeah.
If we can,
Did you?
So did that turn off by itself?
Yes, it does. When it gets to the right time.
Oh,
press the second button in. That's the hold. So now press the far right button.
I like this.
Oh, I know. This is what you want. This is very accurate. Here, we're going to get the plug out of the way so that Anthony can see what's going on. But yeah, now press this is the Breville. Breville is an Australian company that makes, I believe, very, very good. They make my espresso machine.
So is it going to tell us when it's at the right temperature?
Press the far right one, and it'll. I think it is at the right temperature, but yeah. So now what you're saying is get it to 212 and hold it there.
Perfect.
So as soon as it beeps at us, we have exactly 212 degrees.
Okay. Now, so what I know is, because I do this every day, this is the proper amount of water.
Okay.
Because I fill up a little short of this, and I have a little overage, which listen to that.
Oh, yeah,
That's
boiling.
great. So I have a
put
little.
that in the graduated cylinder so we can see exactly how many milliliters.
This may be a mess.
We have bagels with lox, capers, and cream cheese, my favorite breakfast. I think once we've brewed the coffee, we should have it. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a ridiculously large amount that will not fit into the graduated cylinder. Somewhere north of 500 milliliters.
I'm just worried this is not Pyrex. Is this safe for
yes,
temperature?
It's a chemistry lab grade. It was sent to us by
nice.
Mark Pelletier, who was the host of our Futures in Biotech.
Yeah.
So it's somewhat more. I would estimate that is maybe 600 milliliters.
There's some scissors
or
somewhere?
0.6 liters. So that's a significant size mug. Who knew that?
Now, we do still have some alien beans, but I think we've done everything we can to get them out of there.
Well, let's grind a little more.
They'll
Let's
be
grind
okay.
a little more and just.
Well, I was thinking we might flush it with some of the proper beans first.
Flush it. That's
in
a
order
good idea.
in order to clean it
You're
out.
going to need to plug this in as well because
yes.
We've just.
Thank you.
All right. This is all this for a cup of coffee. Oh, fabulous! Did you just pick these up? That's another important factor, and I think Dan Patterson will confirm that the freshness of the bean is very important. But more than just the freshness of the roasting, but in fact the freshness of the bean prior to roasting. I have seen many a coffee shop with a bag, a burlap sack, sitting outside on this front stoop for days as that bean gets moldy and old.
Do we not bring the collector?
Well, we had the collector.
There it is.
All right, let's just. We're going to flush the grinder
with the
now.
proper bean.
Stand back. It's a rather loud grinder.
And at home, I actually have a foam pad.
Oh, yes.
That
Very
this sits
important.
on because I need to be able to shake it in order to get all the beans through.
Dan Patterson
And we're on
is in
3
our
now,
chat
right?
room. He's changed his handle to Mr. Snark, in case you'd like to chat with him. I did. You did or you didn't? Steve is currently flushing.
Okay, so now
We want to get rid of this.
We're getting ready.
Oh, no, you don't need that. That's
we don't
excess.
need that. And the flushing operation was successful.
Successful flush.
So this is a quarter cup, and we do it exactly level. Just like that.
Bill Hicks says this looks like some sort of strange coffee worship going on here. Welcome to the altar of fine caffeine. So that was 1 cup.
That was a quarter cup.
Quarter cup of a Starbucks, just plain espresso roast.
Standard, and that's part of why this is practical.
Nothing special.
You don't have to pre-order this and have the donkeys bring it down. It's just right at your corner Starbucks.
Juan Valdez has delivered this.
Exactly.
All right, now
we're going to
go.
go.
And again, I got to say this is that special metal cone filter, not Steve approved.
I use brown Melita paper on my Zaratsu or whatever.
Zoji Rushi.
Yes. And we're set to 3. That's the proper grind.
Okay.
And the reason I chose this is that when this comes out of its vacuum storage, because I also pump the air out of the beans, I transfer the bag into vacuum.
Again, oxygen the enemy.
Yeah, exactly. And so very much like Cabernet. So this is all related.
Yes.
So then I take exactly the beans I want. The reason I chose this grinder is that they fall straight through from exactly the amount you measured into the filter.
No
You
middleman.
never use this reservoir for storage.
Because they just get stale.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so we are now grinding a number 3 grind of the Starbucks espresso bean into the finely milled cone, K-O-N-E, metal filter basket.
Okay.
Now, do you want to heat up the...
And that looks exactly right. So that's a drip.
So Steve will verify that is...
a coarse drip.
It's a very coarse grind.
It's a very coarse grind. And so what that means is it's not going to be bitter because you're not going to extract deep into the bean. You're not going to get the bitter oils that you normally do get with an espresso grind, which is almost talcum powdery grind.
Can you get that shot there, John, of the bean? So we want everybody to see this is what they're looking for. Here, I'll use a British pencil to stir it so they can just get a sense of what that looks like in there. It looks like, frankly, the kind of soil I use to pot my plants. All right, so that is very coarse. Number 3 is very coarse. I mean, big chunks. All right. Now, do you want to heat up the pot with some hot water or anything?
I think but we want it to be dropped down to drinkable temperature quickly. So,
all right.
So
and I did buy that phase change mug that Steve was talking about on Kickstarter.
Yeah,
we're looking forward to getting
the
those. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so I'm using
212 degree.
I'm using this in order to.
Well, that's gonna be hotter than a.
Yeah, it is gonna be hot.
Zerg gun after.
That's that's the right amount of water for this.
Again, approximately 600 milliliters for one. What was it? 1/4 cup of bean.
Well, I'm not really able to drip it in there.
Oh, sure you are. Go ahead. Just let it. It's those are specially milled holes, finer than typical metal.
Okay, you're going to need an empty cup somewhere.
Baskets. I have a variety of empty cups. Are you making just one cup?
No, we make 5 here.
All right. Well, I also have my fine British cup.
But you only need one.
One will do. You have one over there?
We'll split what we get.
Well,
who else wants some? We'll see how much we get.
I think we should give some to the audience.
I think. Well, and we don't have to do this only once, Leo.
The British are
it's known
be a
long day.
For their cuisine and their excellent taste in. Did you just flip me off, sir? And their excellent taste in coffee. I commend this live studio audience of 4 people.
Intrepid.
And Taylor, I included you. You're one of the 4. Oh, that's quite good.
A lovely sound.
That does sound good.
This may work, Leo. I mean,
no, I'm telling you,
despite all of
I'm telling you,
off the reservation.
This cone filter is better than you think. And I did sanitize it for your protection earlier today.
It's just too bad that only 9 people are watching this.
Actually, I think we have almost 1,000 people in the chat room.
No kidding, great.
Yeah. Let me check here. 1,290 people in the chat room. Yeah, that's a good lead.
Well, we have a strong following in Australia.
The most quoted man.
Oh, no kidding.
Security Now.
He's in Wales.
In Wales?
Yeah.
Wow. Like Noah. Measures up to what he makes at home with his brown paper Melita filter.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing.
See, and at home, it's a far less manual process. This is grind the beans.
Yeah, you can do this in seconds and not minutes.
Turn the pot on, and I go away for about 5 minutes.
Right.
And then it's ready to go.
Dan Patterson, where are you going next? Home, I guess. You were on. Hello, Anthony. They're saying I should wash the Chinese residue out of this cup, but I think a mere rinse would be sufficient. So I'm just going to rinse this. Well, maybe I'll put it. This is
I think you want to put it in ceramic.
Fresh cup.
Yeah.
We'll put it in ceramic. Is there anything else you would like to tell us about this concoction? Merely that you make it every day. How many cups a day do you consume?
If I do sometimes I'll go to Starbucks early and get my initial 6 shots of espresso in the latte, in which case that normally wires me enough that I'm just not feeling like any more coffee for at least a few hours.
And you will do one of those before each Security Now?
No, on Security Now days, I don't leave the house. I get up and I start working to put
me too.
To put the podcast together.
Wow. But so you make
I think it's a little weak.
You feel it's weak?
I think it's a little weak, but you'll get a sense for just how smooth it is.
I have to say the aroma is fine. Very, I would say it's kind of a backstare mixed with cedar shavings. Let me
please drink.
Let me just take a. It's oxidizing as we speak, so I better. Oh my God, it is smooth. Wow, it's very smooth. Now, normally I douse my coffee with cream and sugar.
I've had people say this is coffee when I've had them try.
That's quite good. Now you say it's a little weak.
It's a little weak. I would normally because we're seat of the pants here.
No, that's actually very good. I confess.
With this, no,
that's very good.
With very simple raw materials, it's just.
I drink that.
Really,
I would drink that every
really
morning.
Drinkable.
You know what's nice? It's very fresh, which I like. I mean, there's no.
Well, and again, you can find the bean anywhere, and when you put it together, you've got enough coffee to last for a while.
So let me give you a parts list, folks, because one of the things that we don't have is something Steve told us about on SecurityNow. And was this a Kickstarter, the Zojirushi?
No. I found it on Amazon, and what I like about it is it's the right size. It's 5 cups, so it's not 10, and it uses the Melita filter, so it drips right through the filter into the pot, and then I transfer it to this guy.
Is this it? There's Zuto.
That's the one.
The Zuto coffee maker. Can you show my screen, John, or whoever's on
jealous
TV?
you have that cup of coffee.
Oh, please share with me. Share with me. So it's a removable water tank and water filter, lasts up to 2 years in a normal use, brews up to 5 cups of coffee. And how much was this on Amazon? So you recommend this. You do use Melita paper filters with it.
The brown paper.
The brown.
You don't want
the bleached. No, of course not. And you will brew a full pot.
I do, yes, because actually a little more than 5, because you can fill it past the 5 mark in the little tank in the back.
This has 0.675 liter capacity, so I was estimating about 600 milliliters, so that's about right.
Right, and where are we here? This is 5.
It's about 600 milliliters.
Exactly right.
Yeah. And all right, and the grinder that we're using is a KitchenAid. And you like this?
Well, again, because it's a fall through. It falls. You grind the beans. Ooh, that came up fast. That's nice.
Oh yeah, I'll give you.
You grind exactly what you're going to consume, so that, because the other problem again is oxidation. If this sits here, I mean, these are already disqualified.
Right. This is the KitchenAid Pro Line grinder. This is not an inexpensive grinder. It's over $100, I think.
Yeah, and it's a burr grind, and that's the other thing. You need a burr grind. You need 2 wheels that are grinding in opposition, so that you get a uniform grain size out of the other end. Not one of these things that just fractures the beans with a blade spinning around in the air.
This actually is not it. Let me see if I can find, or maybe it's just a different color. Yeah, it is. It's just a different color.
KitchenAid Pro Line.
Yeah, the Pro Line.
But you want black. I mean, look at us.
Yeah,
black.
$200. Not an inexpensive grinder, but frankly, it'll
last you forever.
As the Coffee Geek told me, Mark, I can't remember his last name. It has the CoffeeGeek.com site. He would rather have a cheap coffee maker and an expensive grinder than vice versa. The grinder is very important, he says. Now, we used something that Steve doesn't recommend, but I think it produces a pretty good cup of coffee. And this is the cone filter. And the nice thing about this is it is reusable.
Yes.
Oh, we're about ready to go to Japan in just a few minutes. We're going to go. This is from Able Brewing, which is up north in Seattle. Yeah, and this cone filter is $60. This was a Kickstarter. It's a stainless steel reusable filter, and I think it's pretty good. And has one of the advantages of not, being reusable, of not, having to buy new filters all the time. So that's what we're using right now. And I actually am using a ceramic pot also from Able Brewing, but that obviously doesn't really matter. So we're going to give a little bit to our friends in the studio and get their unfiltered, uncensored impression. We're ready to go to Korea and Japan. I'm very excited about this. Let's start with Korea. Hello, what's your name?
Has somebody got the countdown?
Other one.